Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Defusal Podcast. We are on episode number 9, and today I can welcome the lead game and narrative designer, Grumpy.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
Hello. As you saw, or if you are in the Discord, you will have seen that we have sort of arranged a Q&A, and today we're going to be answering these questions, or mainly Grumpy's going to be answering them question. I might jump in and give my tea, but probably not a lot. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. First of all,
right.
Grumpy, this is a question from Nat B. Slumber. How do you feel about the state of Ross right now?
The current state of Ross. That's a tricky question, but I made a promise to be as transparent as possible. At the current state, at Ross's current state, I could say I'm very disappointed. Obviously, the amount of updates has been stale. We haven't been as consistent as we promised we would be. But then again, as you know, me working internally to improve the game and do some updates, I can say that we are on a steady course to improve all of that. So if I were to shorten my answer, I would say that at the moment I'm disappointed, but I'm hopeful for the future.
Understood. I think this is actually a question where I can sort of talk about, because it's not as bad as it used to be. Back in the day, like, we had only Felipe and Hunter pretty much. We had like no one else that was like designing and doing coding and such. Like, I think it's Nisu who does the coding now.
Yeah, and me.
And you. And back then it was only Felipe, and Felipe would have months of hiatus where he wouldn't even talk, because that's the big problem with Felipe. He's a great coder and probably a great guy. I don't know. I never talked to. Well, we almost talked to him. He said he couldn't speak English, but it turned out his mother was an English teacher. Very fun.
That's an interesting fun fact.
Yeah, that's like episode 8, I think. So literally the episode before this one, which was like the last episode in months, which probably Ruby will probably not be happy that I'm doing one without him, but he has his own stuff to do. I have my own stuff to do. I found some time here.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
I find it fine right now. It's not as bad as it used to be. Of course, it can always be better, but like you said, I'm hopeful for the future. Okay, I think that's that question set aside. Next one is from Miss Maple Syrup Slurper. Hello, Grumpy and Master Next. Do you ever think we will get a movement type operator, not like Ghost, where his movement is silent, but an operator similar to how Oryx works? An operator that has like a special way of movement.
Okay, a movement type operator. That's a touchy subject. Personally, I never been a fan of Oryx as an operator. Like, I find the movement style operators a bit more of a niche that's not suited for a siege. It's something that I would personally see in a game like Valorant or, I don't know, Call of Duty, where there's a lot of open space and a lot of things that you can do with the environment, whereas Siege is strictly confined in a space, be it a house or an apartment or whatever. So a movement operator would be very tricky to balance. On top of that, we need to take into consideration the fact that a movement operator has a lot of things that might not be able to be adjusted, such as, we can only nerf the speed of the operator, or see what else we can touch on the operator, such as, can this operator jump, for example? Is their unique ability? Like, do they just run faster? So to summarize, I would say that if we were to get a movement type operator, I think it would be something very, very similar to Oryx, because I don't see something else working in Operation Siege as a gameplay style.
Yeah, definitely, I can agree on that. While we're on that topic, the Fahad guy asked, how do you actually create operators? He would like some insight on the process on how you like create in his mind a good operator.
Well, there are a lot of variables that I take into account when creating a new operator, and it all starts with the inspiration behind the operator. Sometimes I search and see what's currently missing into Operation Siege or whatever game I'm designing for, and I'm like, okay, I need to fill that niche. How do I do that? How can I create an operator that fills that niche? And if there's an operator that can do something similar to what I'm thinking, how can I make them distinct from that operator? It's either that or taking inspiration from all sorts of things. Like I can just one day go for a walk, see a funny looking fence or whatever, and I'm like, that would be
Mhm.
a cool fucking gadget, and I let my mind run free. The design process is it varies from person to person, but if I were to give some tips is try and find something that's currently missing in Operation Siege or something that we haven't had in a game similar to Operation Siege.
Definitely, definitely. I fully agree. I've never made an operator, but yeah, I think those tips will definitely, or hopefully, give us some good ideas on how to make operators, or maybe even create some operators that will then be part of
Yeah,
wars.
yeah. Yeah, obviously. It all begins with inspiration. Like
Hmm.
sometimes when we design an operator, we just go, okay, we're missing an X operator from a game I cannot name due to copyright reasons. How can we add this operator while it's making them distinct, which is the current philosophy? Or how can we design a operator that's familiar for the player base but with a catch? And finally, a brand new operator that neither game has seen in a while, that neither Operation Siege or the other game that I'm not supposed to refer to does.
Okay. Uh, moving on. Hawks ask, will original operators ever get added? Because I think right now, most of the operators we had, like, oh god, I don't remember the guy's name, but the Blitz, I think it was, like, copy, and that one woman copy from the game we are not supposed to name.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, what
Well,
would?
if we if we're gonna get original operators, I'm gonna answer with a simple sentence, and that's gonna be yes. We are gonna get some original operators. Starting from this mid-season drop, you're gonna see a different structure as for how we release operators. The plan is to give some insight. Is I want to release at least one new unique operator, while adding someone that's either very familiar to an existing concept or a straight up port to familiarize the players with the game, while also introducing something new. We want to gravitate towards the new player base, whilst also the existing player base that is looking to play with something new, something that doesn't currently exist in this sphere.
Mm, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I understand that completely. Moving on. I think that's even the last question, at least from my side. Maybe you have some.
Mm-hmm.
You found some questions, but from FW.Kaneki, will you ever fix the ability to shoot limbs through walls, which I think means through hard walls when you're too close to a wall where your like hand sticks out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, to answer simply, no, I don't think I'm capable of doing that. First of
Mm,
all, you're asking the wrong question to the wrong person. I am the lead game designer, not the lead programmer. I think you should refer to either Felipe or Nazu. Because I'm not qualified to answer that question. From what I can recall, I think that's something to do with the Roblox engine itself, so that's going to be very difficult to
mm.
fix.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, yeah.
think I can answer that question with confidence, but I can say at least that I will pass this to the developers and see if it's possible.
Understood. So, what about narrative designer. You're like the lead narrative designer. What is your role there?
Basically, I'm the guy in charge of writing the lore. Basically, I spent 8 hours of my life writing a document for what 9 to 10 people that only 9 to 10 people are gonna see and really care about.
Yeah, yeah. Not to
I'm the guy
diminish
basically.
your work, but I
Yeah,
understand what you mean.
yeah. I'm basically the guy that looks at these empty shells, these faceless operators, and I decide to give them a personality. Like, for example, North, who's covered in this snow gear. I'm like, okay, who's the guy behind the mask? And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make him a Native American. Or
Hmm.
Assault, what's his deal? Why is he so grumpy? What the hell? Or Scout. All these operators, I take into account what their personalities could be and the trajectory of their story.
Cool, very cool, very cool. What about
Hmm.
the game design stuff? I know
Game design.
you do like how do you say icons and stuff? You've done all the icons for all the operators, but I'm guessing you don't just do icons.
Yeah. Game designer is it's a term that's being flown all over the place, and it varies from company to company. The way I would,
Like
yeah,
community manager for me because
yeah, pretty much.
community manager is not really my
Yeah, next
task,
you
but
and I can relate to that, having our
well,
roles, misinterpreted. I get you. I get
yeah.
you. A game designer, from the way I understand, is the guy that understands the philosophy behind the game and is responsible for coming up with new concepts, exciting concepts, and translating concepts from other games into their game and trying to innovate a little more and introduce something new and exciting for the player base, whilst also taking into consideration balance and the theme of the game.
Sounds interesting. Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm basically qualified to play games for most of my time as an excuse.
Damn.
For the sake of research, quote unquote.
You are very lucky.
It varies. One day I can just play games and I'm like, that's cool. And other times I play a game and I'm taking thousands upon thousands of notes about what we can extract from a certain game and what ideas we can get from it and get inspired by.
Yes, inspired, yes.
Hmm.
Okay, I think finishing this episode off, I know some people who are definitely interested in this. When will new mods slash helpers slash I think we also look sometimes look for what's it called, testers. When will that happen again, if at all, in the near future?
Honestly, I don't think I'm the guy that's supposed to answer that question. I will definitely pass this to the developer, to the rest of the team. But honestly, I wish I could try and recruit more people, but I don't know.
Hmm.
What's your take on this next? I think you're
Well,
more
I am the
qualified on this than I am.
community manager and such, but I think currently we have a decent size. I don't think unless we get a sudden massive boost like we did during like mid-end COVID, where for some reason a bunch of YouTubers started playing our games and we shot up to like, what was our peak? I think our peak was around maybe 900, maybe even 1,000, if I remember correctly. Maybe I
Yeah, I think
don't.
1,080. I think I
Yeah,
can pull
yeah.
up the stats maybe.
Yeah, we had like this massive boost, and like we had problems, of course, with cheaters because it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to cheat in Roblox than it is to cheat in most other games.
Hmm.
But yeah, we I think we opened mods around that, and then we had the whole Sephi situation, and after that whole like Stalin-esque purge, we had to hire again new mods. And currently we're sailing around, how much do we have right now? I think we have around like a peak of 400 per day, or
Yeah.
like on average 400 players in
Yeah.
24 hours. Yeah, around that. So
Hmm.
as long as that number stays similar and nothing major happens, I think I doubt pretty much that we will need new mods. Of course, stuff can happen. People have jobs, people have lives, people have responsibilities. Sometimes mods step down, and then we could, if enough people step down, let's say I'd give it like around 3 people. As soon as we lose like 3 people, we'll probably have to look for new mods, or at least a batch of new mods. But yeah.
I don't see any other questions that we haven't answered. Like I see some other questions like when are we gonna see a C4 rework? All of
Yeah,
that can
that
be found in the fella. I'm gonna now that we are recording this, I can say to you guys that listen, there is a pinned post on suggestions on things that we're considering. I'm not gonna answer any questions like when are we gonna get Rappel, when are we gonna get C4 rework. You can read all that, okay?
yeah, plus some suggestions were answered by Felipe, which
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's an interesting suggestion. I click on it, and like a message after it got posted, it's just Felipe explaining everything, or some other helper was explaining some stuff. But that's what you said with there's a pinned post about it. But yeah,
Yeah. I think that would be all.
yeah,
Honestly, I
from
wish I
what,
could yeah. I wish I could drop some more hints on what we're working on, but I think the sneak peeks are doing the job. The only thing I'll say before we close this episode off is these 2 operators that I'm gonna be bringing aren't the only ones that are joining this mid-season update. So
ooh,
stay tuned around this week to the week after that. I think you will be
interesting,
very excited to meet uh, one of our newest heart preachers.
very interesting. Then I
Mhm.
thank you, Grumpy, for joining me today.
Please, the pleasure is all mine.
And I will see you in the next episode of the Defusal Podcast. Goodbye.
Bye bye.